Welcome back to Caribbean Lifestyle TV. We're talking to Felicia Persaud. Felicia, we spoke on Carib ID, but in your day-to-day activities, you have a realm of other things you're involved in. You are quite renowned for bringing to us the stories that very few in our community have the ability to, or I gotta be careful I say this now, just the wherewithal. And I start there by saying this. Early on in the year, we had Caribbean leaders meeting here in the United States, in New York, historically, for the first time, on a conference of the diaspora. For many in our community, it was a disaster, or it did not achieve what the intended purpose is. I know that Carib World News Network did extensive coverage on this. You care to somewhat capsulate exactly what transpired, and why do you think it never hit the mark it should have?
Well, I think, you know, what happened and what sort of put it back and sort of put the leaders were taken aback somewhat is when we first wrote that this conference was being organized by a quote-unquote white PR firm.
In other words, a PR firm outside of our community who was marketing
exactly to us.
Okay.
And I think once we put that out there, that's when everybody within our community and the community leaders were very taken aback. The media.
And let me just clarify, and it wasn't a white firm owned by a Caribbean person.
Definitely
right?
not.
Okay,
these were people who knew nothing, absolutely nothing about us, but they were handed, I think it was $100,000 to pretty much do this effort. And
hold on, the effort was to what? Because
the effort was really to organize the event. Pretty much was to get people, real people, into these events where we have Caribbean people and the media to these events, because they had a number of events. The York College event, which was a public event where the leaders were coming to get people to these things, except it went unpromoted. From our breaking that and really criticizing them about it. The consuls sort of started breaking apart. Now they were all nervous. The Haitian consul, the Guyanese consul, and suddenly you started getting this, this feeling of dissent within the consular corps. The ambassador corps in Washington started getting very nervous about the whole situation. CARICOM,
the leadership itself.
Exactly. CARICOM was suddenly getting these calls about what's going on here. You know.
In fact, I'm aware of one prime minister who spoke to me on this, who said he came in, and when he realized the objective was not being met, he left the next day.
And we saw Prime Minister Gonzalez never showed up until the Saturday because he was going on to Washington. His ambassador was also very, very upset. A lot of the ambassador corps was upset, and they sought to distance themselves. Suddenly it became a New York consular corps event. It wasn't a Caribbean diaspora. It was about, the consular corps organized this. They're the ones who made this
Who's
thing
the leadership
happen.
in the consular corps now?
Well, it was the consul general at the time from Antigua, who was a guy who was very not so much into the community as most of the other consuls are. And he's the one who pretty much, we're told, really brought this firm in, put his own people pretty much in place to make this happen. And so that became a disaster because they were also coordinating with Congressman Rangel's office, and Congressman Rangel became a no-show at the actual event. So he pretty much left the leaders in the lurch, which was another embarrassment for them, because a lot of the, again, leaders and the ambassadors felt it was against protocol. You do not invite somebody and then, don't show up. And worst of all, the leaders paid for this conference. So taxpayer dollars from the region.
Hard-earned taxpayer dollars.
Were paid out for this, to pay people outside our community to speak to us.
What do we accomplish from this?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it was a major talk shop. They can't even point to an ounce of real publicity from the quote-unquote mainstream media that we got for this event, because I mean, you have all these leaders in town, and you can't even get a television channel, not even Brooklyn News 12 to cover this event.
There was talk of a boycott, and that how significant the Carib World News Network was critical in making sure that certain people stayed away.
Well, it was pretty much Felicia Persaud got blamed for pretty much calling for a boycott of the whole conference. In fact, a lot of the consuls pretty much still, I think, despise me.
So I guess you're not invited there too?
No, definitely not. I mean, in fact,
so that means the Jamaican consulate, Antiguan consulate.
All of that. In fact, the Antiguan consul general, came up to me one time and said to me recently, oh, you're the lady who writes all these nasty things about me, and so it's, I said, if you have a problem with the truth, then by all means, tell me, yeah. But if there isn't anything wrong with what I write, then why do you ask me? Because I think that's what journalists are supposed to do. And I think more people within our community and within the media and programs such as these need to be asking tough questions.
As I hear you talk about that, the question comes up now is this. There is a very fine line today in our journalism world of catering to or pandering to. And you seem to attack this thing fearlessly, living up to the protocols and to the responsibility of your profession, which I dare say in today's Caribbean media and in our world, we are not as independent and forthright with our analysis of things. Carib World News Network, you continue to do this. What is the motivation behind all this?
Well, it's difficult sometimes to keep doing this, especially since we're not funded. It's not like it's a $1 million company. We do this because it's something that we see as needed. There isn't a voice for our people in the diaspora that's out there, especially on a daily basis. And that is really the motivation. That's the motivation of why it was founded in the first place, because you saw everybody trying to get news from back home, but there was nothing that was really going on a daily basis here that could tell our story. And really that is it. And it's to hold our leaders accountable. It's to make sure that they know that they can't just pull the wool over people's eyes. And too often I think that happens, where we're seeing so many people, they're so happy to be invited to a ball or to an event or to get a press trip somewhere that they forget the real role of what a journalist is. Or most of the times they're not even trained as journalists, so they don't have that background to really fall back on. So it becomes something that they see as, just covering an event and just writing about what happened or what the person was wearing.
To ensure that they get invited the next time.
Exactly. Or they're all, to be chummy in that inner circle. And I really don't care about that inner circle.
What type of backlash do you get, though, from this? Because, we're finicky at the people and vindictive.
Well, I mean, people, they see me in rooms sometimes and they ignore me or they don't say anything at all or pretend I'm not there.
But that's on the mild side, though. I mean, so what? They ignore you. What else?
I don't care. I don't really care. I mean, they can't do us anything because we don't do anything that's libelous, and furthermore they're not shareholders. They don't fund us. We're an independent news organization, so we do what we think.
So the threat of lawsuit is just a threat.
Yeah, I mean, they can threaten all all they like. I mean, thankfully we have a lawyer on our side now that is very good, and that can protect us from those things. But, I mean, we really hold ourselves to a real high editorial standard where we make sure that we don't put anything out there that's slander or libelous, that will put us in any way. We pretty much just tell the story as it is.
And Carib World News Network, tell us how we access that.
Well, it's pretty much